Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas City, unlike yesterday when it was snowing. So I thought we'd do a flight in the cousin of the Airbus 320, the bigger cousin. This is the Airbus 330, and I thought I would add it to my Hangar series. We had done, I think, 13 of them before, so this would be 14. And we probably shouldn't call it the last of the series because things are changing all the time. You never know when I'll get something new and want to add it to the Hangar collection. Airplanes that I fly often. Don't fly this one too often for a bunch of reasons, but you can't really ignore it. It's got so many details. It's a huge aircraft, and that's one of the reasons I don't fly it too often, because you probably want to do pretty long trips in it. But it's pretty interesting aircraft. It's got some interesting interface features, and it's certainly interesting to look at. All right, in order to get started here, the first thing I'm going to do is call up a little jar feature, which is the little widget that they call it for the ground handling. And with that, you tap on various things that you want to activate. This is the fuel truck over here. And we can tap on, say, a loader. I don't know why it does that, but anyway, we'll indicate that. So let's have those guys drive up. And it takes them a few minutes, but the important thing about doing this, you'll see that the GPU now is connected to the aircraft. And we've run into a problem before where if you try to connect the GPU by any other means, it doesn't seem to want to work. So we can make that screen go away. Oh, this guy, okay, he is a cat. Caterer is what he is. It's a catering truck. So he's going to come over here and open this door. And while he's doing that, we want to indicate the amount of fuel that we're going to load into the aircraft. And in order to find that out, let's jump over here to Safari and look at SimBrief, where I've set up this flight and done an operational plan. Indicates a block fuel of 12.6. Now I've done the same setup before and it indicated 16, so I don't know quite what's right. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 13,000 kilograms of fuel. So we'll come over here and up this to, say, 13 and refuel using that. And it's important to do that using this method that I just showed you because there's a way inside that you can check that, and we'll get to that in a minute. So while all of that's going on, I'm going to go inside the aircraft, and actually we can make the fuel truck go away so we can get rid of this guy here. So we'll bring up our little pop-up window again. What I'll do is actually make that go away and make the fuel truck go away, and we can make those drive away. I want to make sure we don't drive away our GPU. Let's see if we got rid of them. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so just tapping them makes those guys disappear. So we'll leave the GPU connected, come back inside, and we'll go up to our overhead panel. And you can see because we left the GPS connected, we've got GPU, I should say, we've got the GPU indicated as being available. And the batteries are right here, and I noticed that it usually does something weird when I turn the batteries on. Yeah, okay, so the batteries are now on there, and that pops up some other things. And then we want to go ahead and put on the GPU. Okay, that's done. We can put a beacon light on. The nav and logo lights can go on. Standard compass, control, overhead lights, and we can arm the center aisle emergency lights and rotate the nadirs, or adirs, I guess they call them, adirs, so we can get our MCDU, our computer, up and running. Make these guys go to 0, or else you'll get a steward shouting at you that it's too cold back in the cabin. Okay, that's taken care of. Let's go down here, and we're starting to get some action on our ND. We can rotate this. Let's check what the baro is here at Kansas by going back to here and jumping over to Sky Vector. You can see the barometric pressure is 2992. So we'll jump back over to XPlane, and we can set this to 2992 by scrolling. Always takes me a minute to scroll in the right direction. 2992, good. While I'm here, I can rotate this down to the plan view, and then let's take a look at our MCDU. We have some preferences that I've set up beforehand, so let's just go straight to the init page. And here we want to insert where we're coming from and going to. KMCI is our origin. We put a slash in, and then KORD is our destination. We enter that as a non-flight. And our flight number is Delta EAL 636. The cost index, say, is 30. And the cruise altitude, I think, was going to be 310. Let's just check that in SimBrief and see what SimBrief had for us for cruise level. Here to our flight plan, flight log, and we'll look for the top of climb, and it says, oh, 350, all right, so that changed. We'll put in 35, and that all automatically fills in the flight temperature. So then we can align the IRS, and here we can go to the fuel page. And if we tap on the ZFW and then just tap on the block, it should indicate what we've already put into the aircraft, 13,000, and gives us an hour and 10 minutes additional time. So that's good. While I'm there, I'm just going to turn on that, and I am looking at this screen here and wondering why that hasn't loaded yet. Because that should show us, in addition, should show us our 13,000 kilograms of fuel. It's indicated the zero fuel weight is 165, which I think is going to be pretty close to what SimBrief had. Zero fuel, well, they say 147. Takeoff weight 159. I'll stick with what the airplane says. Well, what I'm curious about here is why that screen isn't showing up. We've got those on. We've got the power on. A little bit odd. Yeah, we've got lights on, and that's all working. Let's just turn on our fuel switches, although we're not using the APU yet. Yeah, we've got lights and panels and so forth. Maybe what we've got to do is go down here to this panel and look at fuel. Let's try that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got a fuel indication of 13,000 kilograms. Good. So we're cool with that. Now we can go to our flight. So we start off at KMCI, and again, I want to go back over to SimBrief and see what runway we're using. So to do that, I'll come back up here to the routing, and we're coming out of KMCA on 19 right. I'm using Royal 9 to Bowdoin. So 19 right. And Royal 9 to Bowdoin as a transition. So we'll enter that into the flight plan, insert it, and then scroll down to Bowdoin. At Bowdoin, we're doing a direct to Loamy, L-O-A-M-Y. Okay. And we've got to scroll down a bit until we get to the discontinuity. We'll just enter it in there. All right. And already it put it back up into the correct position. And then at KORD, our runway is changed. We are this time going into runway 22 right. Yesterday it was 29 or 28. But 22 right today, going a little southwesterly direction. And Benke 4 with the Loamy transition. Actually, we probably didn't even need to enter Loamy. But we've got it in there. So 22 right, Benke 4 at KORD. Arrival. 22 right there. Benke 4 and Loamy as the transition. So we'll enter that and insert it. And then let's take a look and see how that all pans out. First, we'll go back to the beginning. MCI. First waypoint is Keiko. And then we'll just follow the green line. Oh, we're going north. That's right. Up to Bowdoin. Loamy. We're going to take this star, which has us coming up here to Petta. And at Petta, we take a right turn and go to Giorgio, Monks, Tonzi, and there's a discontinuity. And the waypoint they're indicating for us after Tani is Nolan. So let's take a look at that. Oops. Here in Sky Vector. Here's our approach into 22 right, and there's Nolan, and we're coming off a pattern, a star called Benke. Now that's a two-part pattern. Here's the second part. I'll rotate that around for you. And you can see it's coming up, from the southwest into Benke, Austin, Petta. We take a right on Petta, go to Giorgio, Tani, and from Tani we're vectored around to Nolan. We could take Fanuk. It's indicated as a higher altitude. As a matter of fact, Nolan is 5,000. I'm going to go ahead and take Nolan because it's here. We're going to be down in this vicinity. There's really no need to go way out here in the lake to Fanuk just to make that approach. So let's go back over here and accept that. So all we need to do really is clear that discontinuity. And of course, if it doesn't clear, it means you've got to have some intermediate waypoint, but it looks like that's going to clear okay. So we've got Tommy direct to Nolan, and there it is. So if we scroll down, we'll see ourselves connecting. Yeah, it'd be a much sharper angle if we went way back up in here. So we'll come in here, we'll do a nice turn, and then on into our runway 22 right. So that takes care of that. Now we can go to the performance, and all we need to do here is click them, and it automatically computes our takeoff speeds, V2 speed. Now on the Airbuses, it's a little bit different than Boeing. Is on the Airbuses, you you add 15 knots to your V2 speed. Boeings do that automatically. They post the V2 speed for you, and you use that. And here, the V2 speed is 143, but you really want to use 158 would be our nominal takeoff speed. We'll dial that into the speed bug. We then just want to click these guys and this guy, and then just click this, and you'll put in your flaps 1 and the adjustment for trim, and then we'll put in an F speed or throttle factor of F60. Throttle takeoff flux takeoff. I'm not sure, direct to or flux to. Anyway, you put in F60 there, and that takes care of it. The last thing we can do is check our nav radio, and the frequency at ILS 22 right is 111.30, and an approach course is 223. 111.30, 223. So we'll dial in 111.30 and enter that here. And course is 223, and that's what it reports back. So that's good. And we can then just go back to the flight plan page, and we're already back at KMCI, and that's about all we need to do there. We can rotate this back up to arc mode. We can indicate our 158 nominal takeoff speed or rotate speed. Just right click that and we'll scroll it back down to 158. There we go. Now, on the new versions of the A330, my understanding is that you can dial in your takeoff heading, and let's just check what that is. We're on, let me get to the right page here. We are on runway 19 right, and 19 right, I keep going to that page, should also just throw it away. All right, 19 right at Chicago O'Hare. Let's see what the angle on that is. Oh, it's at Chicago, I'm sorry. 19 right is 191. So we can dial in, should be able to dial in 191. Nope, not yet. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Didn't used to be able to do that on Airbuses from JAR, but now you can, lo and behold. Just got to dial it in the right direction. There. All right, put in our cruise altitude of 35. If you click here, you can do it in thousands. Goes a little faster. And that's done. We've got our fuel switches turned on. Let's go ahead and turn on the APU. While that's cranking up, we can tell people to fasten their seat belts. Listen to the little spiel from the attendant. These are okay. I'll leave the strobe off for the time being. That's really all. You can put on the packs. Let's make sure the packs are off, starting up the engine. And take a look down here, and we see now that the APU is available. Look over here on the upper ND. That shows the APU is available, which, whoops, wrong switch. APU bleed is what we want. We'll leave the engine anti-ice on fault for the time being. That's about it. So now we need to push the airplane back and get the engine started, and I'll take care of that and see you shortly. And there he goes. All right. So we'll start our taxi out to runway 19 right. There we go. All right, so I will see you out there on 19 right, and that will be part 2. So thanks for joining so far. See you soon.